My name is Maggie Williams. I just turned 62. People often tell me I look a bit like Meryl Streep. My hair has turned silver, but I think the wrinkles around my eyes are proof of a life filled with smiles. For over 30 years, I taught in public schools in the Bronx. Watching children grow was my life's work. I retired 2 years ago and now enjoy a quiet life. Every morning, I take a walk in Central Park. Breathing deeply as the morning sun filters through the trees brings me peace. I had a daughter, Danny. Saying "had" still makes my heart ache. She passed away a year ago at the young age of 32. They say it was a yachting accident. Danny was smart and kind. She worked on Wall Street while also being passionate about charity work for underprivileged children. Danny married Sharon Page 5 years ago. He was her colleague, looking a bit like a slightly chubby Brad Pitt. When I first met him, I thought he seemed like a good man who would take care of my daughter. They have 2 adorable children, Anna, who's 5, and Hugo, who's 3. Since Danny's passing, my relationship with Sharon has become strained. When I call, he always says he's busy and hangs up. I rarely get to see my grandchildren anymore. The last time was 3 months ago at Anna's 5th birthday party. I can't forget the sadness in Anna's eyes that day. Every night, I've made it a habit to say good night while looking at Danny's photo. Instead of tears, I now feel a huge void in my chest. But I have to keep moving forward. That's what Danny would want. Today is Sunday. As usual, I woke up early and visited Greenwood Cemetery where Danny rests. It's hydrangea season, and the entire cemetery is adorned with blue and purple flowers. Danny loved these flowers when she was alive. "How are you doing, Danny?" I asked as I approached her gravestone, just like always. But then I noticed something unusual. There was a small figure in front of the gravestone. It can't be. My heart started racing. As I got closer, the figure became clearer. A dirty pink dress, tangled blonde hair. There was no mistaking it. Anna. I rushed over to find my granddaughter Anna asleep, leaning against the gravestone. Her clothes were torn in places, and her face and hands were covered in dirt and grass stains. It looked like she had been outside for days. "Anna, are you okay? Why are you here?" As I gently shook her shoulder, Anna slowly opened her eyes. Those big blue eyes were filled with tears. "Grandma." Her voice was hoarse as she called out to me. As I hugged her, I could feel her small body trembling. "I'm sleeping with Mommy." Those words made me feel like all the blood had drained from my body. As I gently stroked Anna's cheek, I tried to confirm if Mommy meant Danny. "Anna, why did you come here? Where's Daddy?" Anna shook her head and answered in a small voice, "Daddy is with the new Mommy." "New Mommy? Has Sharon remarried?" But it hasn't even been a year since Danny passed away. My head was spinning with confusion and questions. "Where's Hugo? Where's your brother?" "Hugo is with the new Mommy." Anna's words were fragmented, making it difficult to fully understand the situation. But one thing was clear: I couldn't abandon my granddaughter who was trembling and in tatters right in front of me. "It's okay, Anna. Grandma's here for you." As I picked Anna up, I was shocked by how light she was. I wondered how long it had been since she had eaten a proper meal. Holding her close, I left the cemetery. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I swore to myself that I would uncover the truth and protect my grandchildren. After bringing Anna back to my home, I felt overwhelmed by doubt and anxiety. Anna is now sleeping deeply on the sofa after having a shower and changing into clean clothes. As I watch her small sleeping face, I try to make sense of everything that has happened. Danny's death, and Sharon's suspicious behavior. Something isn't right. Danny was a strong swimmer and was familiar with handling yachts. It doesn't seem like it could have been just an accident. And Anna's words about Sharon being with a new mommy. It hasn't even been a year since Danny passed away. What's going on? I considered contacting the police several times. But in the current situation, there's not enough evidence. Plus, Sharon is an influential figure on Wall Street. Considering his connections, they might not act quickly. "What should I do, Danny?" I ask, looking at my daughter's smiling face in the photo frame. Suddenly, I remember. Jack Morrison. He might be able to help. Jack was one of my students 20 years ago. He now works as a private investigator, but he used to be a detective with the NYPD. He has a trustworthy face, like a younger Robert De Niro. I take out my phone and, after a moment's hesitation, dial Jack's number. "Hello, Jack. It's Maggie. Maggie Williams." "Ah, Mrs. Williams. It's been a while. What can I do for you?" Jack's deep voice gives me a sense of reassurance. I briefly explain the situation, and he quickly understands. "I see. I'll start investigating right away. I'll thoroughly look into the details of Danny's yacht accident and Sharon's recent behavior patterns." Jack's words make me feel a glimmer of hope. But at the same time, I'm struck by anxiety about the terrible truth that might be revealed. "Jack, I have a request. The safety of Anna and Hugo is paramount. If you find any dangerous situations, please let me know immediately." "Of course. I'll prioritize the children's safety. And Mrs. Williams, please be very careful. The other party might be dangerous." After hanging up the phone, I look at the sleeping Anna. "It's okay, Anna. Grandma will definitely protect you." That night, I contacted Child Protective Services and started the process to temporarily take custody of Anna. This should ensure her immediate safety. But I'm still worried about Hugo. Is he safe too? The next morning, I received the first report from Jack. And its contents left me speechless. "Mrs. Williams, I've discovered something unbelievable." There's tension in Jack's voice. Sharon was indeed meeting someone in secret. The location was a luxury hotel in Manhattan, the Plaza. Those words made me feel like my stomach was being twisted. The Plaza is where Danny held her wedding after-party. It's a place full of memories. The man he was meeting is Mark Johnson, Danny's colleague. Mark Johnson. Hearing that name took my breath away. He has a fresh appearance similar to Matt Damon, and he attended Danny's wedding. I remember hearing that he was a close friend. It seems they've been meeting 2 to 3 times a week. And Jack continued, choosing his words carefully. I looked into Danny's life insurance. There's an enormous payout of 500 million yen, and the beneficiary is Sharon. At that moment, I felt like the air in the room had frozen. 500 million yen. I had no idea Danny had such a large policy. That's not all, Jack revealed an even more shocking fact. I also found out about a charity organization that Danny was secretly planning, called Danny's Dream. It seems it was about to be established. Danny's Dream. Tears welled up in my eyes as I said the name. It's such a beautiful name, just like Danny. The funds for the charity seem to have come from Danny's personal account. It might have been a secret from Sharon. All the pieces started to connect. Danny's sudden death, the huge life insurance payout, Sharon's suspicious behavior, and the charity work Danny was secretly advancing. Jack, this is... The words got stuck in my throat. Yes, Mrs. Williams. As a possibility, we might be looking at murder. With those words, I felt my world crumbling. But at the same time, a strong determination welled up inside me. To uncover the truth and carry on Danny's will. And above all, to protect Anna and Hugo. That's the only thing I can do now. Jack, what should we do next? First, we'll gather more evidence. And we'll thoroughly monitor Sharon's movements. Mrs. Williams, please be very careful. We don't know what the other party might do. After hanging up the phone, I gazed out the window. The New York skyline was starting to be tinged with the sunset. Somewhere out there, Hugo must be waiting for me. Wait for me, Hugo. I'll definitely come to save you. That night, I couldn't sleep for a long time. As sleepless nights continued, Jack's investigation steadily progressed. New information came in almost daily. Security camera footage, phone records, detailed analysis of financial transactions. These pieces slowly came together, revealing the terrifying truth. Mrs. Williams, we found decisive evidence. Jack's voice was filled with excitement one day. We found traces of Sharon and Mark modifying the yacht a few days before the accident. And Jack hesitated for a moment. We obtained emails exchanged between the two. They contained detailed plans for the murder. The moment I heard those words, I felt something crumble inside me. Undeniable fact. My daughter was murdered. Faced with the evidence, I experienced an intense internal conflict. The fear of accepting this truth and a strong thirst for justice. I want to reveal the truth for Danny's sake. But would that hurt my grandchildren even more? Night after night, I struggled with this conflict. Danny, what would you do? Days passed as I questioned my daughter's photo. Then one day, I had a sudden thought. Sarah Goldberg. She was my former student, now a renowned criminal defense attorney. She has a dignified presence reminiscent of Meryl Streep. Hello, Sarah. It's Maggie. Mrs. Williams. It's been a while. What can I do for you? After explaining the situation, Sarah immediately arranged a meeting. The next day, we discussed the evidence in Sarah's office. This is undoubtedly a murder case. But the opponent is an influential figure. We need to proceed cautiously. Sarah's calm analysis helped me regain some composure. First, let's confront Sharon directly. Depending on his reaction, we'll consider our next move. I nodded at Sarah's suggestion. The time had finally come to face the truth. As I prepared myself mentally, I looked at Anna's sleeping face. Grandma will protect you, even for Mommy's sake. And then, the fateful day arrived. Per se, a high-end restaurant in Manhattan. This is where I was to meet Sharon. My heart was pounding as I took deep breaths repeatedly. When Sharon appeared, there was a contemptuous smile on his face. What's this about, Maggie? Suddenly wanting to meet. Sit down, I said coldly. As we sat at the table, I slowly took out documents from my bag. What do you think these are? The smile disappeared from Sharon's face. Records of the yacht modification. And the email exchanges between you and Mark. Sharon's face turned pale. What are you talking about? That's enough. I know everything. That you killed Danny. And why? With trembling hands, I presented the life insurance documents. 500 million yen. Is this what you wanted? And Danny's dream was also in your way. Sharon's agitation intensified. Sweat was dripping from his forehead. No, that's not it. But his words sounded hollow. Admit it, Sharon. You can't run away anymore. At that moment, Sharon's phone rang. It was a call from Mark. His voice echoed throughout the restaurant as Sharon put it on speaker. Sharon, it's over. I'm turning myself in. I can't cover for you anymore. The blood drained from Sharon's face. Mark. What are you saying? I'm going to tell the police everything. I'm sorry, Sharon. It's over. After the call ended, Sharon collapsed into his chair. Why? I asked with a trembling voice. Danny loved you. Sharon covered his face with both hands. Looking at him, I felt a complex mix of pity and anger. Where are the children? Where's Hugo? Sharon answered in a small voice. At Mark's sister's house. At that moment, the restaurant door opened and police officers entered. Jack approached me from behind and placed a hand on my shoulder. Well done, Mrs. Williams. As I watched Sharon being taken away, I let out a deep sigh. It's over now. Danny, I was able to bring you justice. However, I knew this wasn't the end, but a new beginning. The time had come to start a new life with my grandchildren. The week after Sharon and Mark's trial ended, I stood in the Manhattan family court. This time, it was to gain custody of Anna and Hugo. My heart was racing as I took deep breaths. The judge carefully reviewed the documents and looked at me with narrowed eyes. "Mrs. Williams, you're 62 years old. Are you sure you can raise your grandchildren?" I straightened my back and answered in a clear voice. "Yes, I'm confident. I've worked with children for over 30 years as a teacher. And more than anything, I love Anna and Hugo." In court, Dr. Jane Robinson, a child psychologist, took the stand. Children who have lost their parents need a stable environment and loving caregiver. In my assessment, Mrs. Williams is the ideal caregiver. Furthermore, to confirm Anna and Hugo's wishes, the judge met with the children individually. When the judge returned, I felt a glimmer of hope seeing the softened expression on their face. I've confirmed the children's wishes. They both strongly want to live with their grandmother. Finally, the judge ruled to grant me custody of Anna and Hugo. At that moment, a small applause broke out among the supporters in the courtroom. The day after gaining custody, I began the process of establishing Danny's Dream. I would realize the charity organization that Danny had secretly planned. Providing educational opportunities for children from impoverished families was Danny's dream. At the press conference for the establishment of Danny's Dream, I spoke through tears. This organization is a continuation of my daughter Danny's dream and will. I want to deliver her love and kindness to many children. For our new life, we moved to a new home in the Upper East Side. It's a green environment close to Central Park. On moving day, Anna and Hugo excitedly ran around their new rooms. "Grandma, is this our new home?" Anna asked with shining eyes. "Yes, this is your new home," I answered gently. That night, after putting the children to bed, I stood by the window and looked up at the starry sky. "Danny, I'll raise your children well. And I'll definitely make your dream come true." In my heart, I made a new resolution. On a crisp Sunday in spring, Central Park was bustling with families. We were also enjoying a picnic under a big tree. "Grandma, this sandwich is delicious," Hugo said with his mouth full. "Really? I'm glad," I replied with a smile. Anna was chasing butterflies in a nearby flower field. Her laughter carried on the wind. Over the past year, the children have visibly grown. Anna has made friends at school and has become good at drawing. Hugo is still a bit clingy, but he's slowly developing independence. As for me, I've been busy running Danny's Dream. In the year since its establishment, we've already been able to provide scholarships to over 100 children. On our way back from the picnic, Anna held my hand and said, "Grandma, do you think Mom is watching us?" I stopped, looked into Anna's eyes, and said, "Of course. Mom is always watching over you." At that moment, I happened to look up at the sky and saw a beautiful rainbow. "Look at that rainbow. It might be a message from Mom." The children gazed at the rainbow with shining eyes. Watching them, I spoke to Danny in my heart. "Danny, your children are growing up wonderfully. And your dream is slowly taking shape. I'll continue to move forward, carrying your will in my heart." As we left Central Park, I was certain. There's still so much hope and possibility ahead in our lives. Holding Anna and Hugo's hands tightly, we stepped forward into our new future.